that you can move out on.
Right.
So I'd say in 73 I knew it, and being able to actually move out on it was 78, or latter part of 70, get ready going to 79. And that's when a few things had developed were, because what took place when the messenger passed, or we took him, his son Wallace came in, you know, and in the Bible it's called, I think it was, Absalom. So Absalom, I think it's Absalom in the Book of Kings.
Right.
You got Adonijah and Absalom, right? Well, Absalom had to come and actually test the people and see who actually was with his father. So after that period, he had 3 years to do that. So I was not to interfere with him. So if I came in, in other words, I already knew, but if I had had the necessary things to confirm it, I would have interfered. As a matter of fact, they came and told me, do not interfere with him. I went to see him, and nothing worked out. So one of the scientists came to me and said, just leave him alone, don't interfere with him. And to make sure that I didn't, they sent to me a female. They dressed her up in righteousness and sent her to me to tie me up for the 3 years that it would take for him to do that. And after that, she showed who she really was. So we're not together now. Right. However, the duty was to keep me from interfering with Wallace.
Right.
And then after that, well, the things started to develop, which would confirm who I really am.
You made reference to conversations you had with individuals early on when you were coming to the discovery of who you are and what your mission was, your work is here. One of the references that you made was that one of the individuals referred to you as King Solomon.
Yes, sir.
What is meant by that? I'm aware of the biblical character King Solomon, and I'm wondering if that is what the person was speaking of when they made reference to you.
Well, yes, sir, and no, sir. The way she was speaking of it, like King Solomon, that was something to say alert my consciousness to the divinity or to the level of my identity. However, if it's going to be spoken that way, it would be Solomon the king, not King Solomon. Right. If you understand what I'm saying.
I understand completely what you're saying.
So this was her way of explaining to me or causing me to not abandon what other people were. All these signs were coming, right. Not to just discard them, right. You know. And she gave me some scripture and whatnot, what to read. Matter of fact, I was driving tractor trailers then. I went and got a hotel room after I got to my destination. And I read the thing, I called her up and went over it. And I said, well, look, Solomon, when we get to the 9th chapter, whatnot, Solomon, he wasn't too cool, you know. I don't see myself doing it. She said, oh, baby, don't worry about that. You know, white folks wrote that. And they always put themselves in it. You know, when you get to that part, leave that alone. With you, that's not going to happen. I said, oh, okay. So,
and you made reference to others who gave you confirming words or would share other things with you.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember some of those things?
I remember all of them.
Can you share some of them?
Yes, sir. You know, you asking some. You know, there are certain families that's very instrumental in making this come about, right. Bringing about this change from wrong to right.
Right.
You know. It's not just me alone. I'm just, like you said, the nucleus.
Right.
So, however, all of the families that is really close, that has any real power to make changes, has to be directly in contact with me. So, in other words, we have to be able to literally touch them. I have to be able to touch your thinking.
Right.
So I can unleash the power that you do have, so you'll be able to use it. One of them was a sister that had, her and her husband had 10 children. And she had came to me and told me that, you know, that she was going to have to be with me and bring all of her children. And I said, no, you know, hey, forget that. You know, marriage is something very sacred to me.
Right.
You are married. You know, nowhere in the world that's not going to happen. However, when I was being told the way I was being told, I knew it was true. I just didn't see how it was going to happen. I knew I wasn't going to put in nothing in motion to make that happen. So then we got a couple of their children, her children, came and told me that they seen this and they had a dream, they had visions. I just kept saying, nope, nope, nope. And then they kept doing it, and then I had some other people outside of the family that didn't know any of us. And when they saw us together, they said, that's your wife and that's your family. We were standing on the temple steps in Chicago. He was there with them. I was there with mine. And they said, this is your wife and that's your family. He was standing right there with them. So I said, man, this is really getting heavy, you know. So anyhow, I finally came to the realization, well, if it is true, it'll happen. I'm not going to do nothing to make it happen.
Right.
And it happened. I was out in California, and I delivered a load of freight there. Matter of fact, I was driving for Johnson and Johnson. I carried a load of product for them in California, and I was out in St. Mary's, California, sleeping overnight. And if you notice, quite a few of my teeth are missing. Mm-hmm. At that time, I had them. And I had one of the worst toothaches a man could ever have. Man. So I had to will it away. And I sat there at night, and it was cold. I mean, it was cold. Just like it is in this room. It's not quite that cold, but you know. And something just come over me, you know, like everybody I talk to has got a wife, they got a family. I don't have nobody. I've done been out all in the universe and I've seen all these things, whatnot. I've been excited about that, and I've digested it, you know, to a point where I can take the next step. But I don't have no woman. Then the thought came, oh, why don't you call your sister? So I called my sister to tell her what I was feeling, my twin I was telling her. She said, guess who called? I said, somebody I called her name. She said, yeah. She said, it's about time that you are looking for her. I said, well, till I be in there. So when I came on back, we got together. I come into the realization what they are, what the children were for and everything, and I had another spiritual mother. Now, like you introduced me to the spiritual head of the United Nations of Islam, right? Right. So I had another spiritual mother right here in D.C. I used to drive trucks down here, bring the Muhammad speaks and everything. Right here in D.C., we stayed in a hotel, and in the restaurant where I worked at, it was a sister there. What was really happening, the scientists, they showed me all these different